Hey, New York Jet fans from all around the world. Welcome to Laugh Through the Turbulence, a New York Jets podcast. The show that delivers you all your Jets content. Here are your hosts, John, Adden, and Monty. All the best to the New York Jet fans. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Go Jets.
Go Jets.
All right, go Jets. Guess what we have this week?
Yeah, we got football, baby.
Yeah. Preseason football.
Let's go.
I wonder if anyone actually bought the tickets and put on for sale for that because I can't make it. It's also Saturday, 12 p.m. game. It's like,
yeah.
I don't want to go. I mean, I'm in the Hamptons right now. Being all hoity-toity and stuff like that. I don't want to go back to the city to just be in the heat for 12 p.m. football. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, sounds brutal, but
Yeah. I don't even think anyone bought my tickets, but I guess we can start with that. Besides asking each other how we're all doing, because we did that already. But basically, this is going to be our preseason week 1 preview, right? I wrote that out right. Yeah. Basically, there's a football game this week, and it's very exciting for us as Jets fans because, it's before the horror of a season, and all, so I mean, I guess we can kind of just preview a little bit what we kind of think we're going to expect and all that, who we're going to see out there. I mean, it's the first week, so you may not see much, but you might get to see some guys that are a little bit, under the radar in terms of thinking that you're going to have an impact from them in the year, maybe in the future years. So I'll let who wants to start it off on your side?
Yeah, I mean, I can get it going. All right. So, I mean, this is, it's the, it's funny. It's like we finally get a game and then it's the freaking Commanders, I am a little bit excited about that though, because, it's kind of a nice easing in. It's kind of how I wanted our regular season to start. Like, I didn't want to start the season. I know you guys may feel different about it. I didn't want to start the season with the arguably best team, in terms of raw talent and just production in the league. I wanted a game more like this, like the Commanders just are not that great of a team. Rookie quarterback. We got to see now how Jaden Daniels plays. I did read where Jaden Daniels is actually set to play a decent amount. So he's not, they're not going to hide him or kind of, protect him or anything like that. They're going to, let him cook a little bit, see what he's got. And the kid's got some talent. I mean, he was throwing off, 70-yard bombs and, doing all kinds of shit, in prior months. So, we'll see how it looks now at the NFL level when he's not just, throwing around on an empty field. That said, I'm excited to see Tyrod. Tyrod is, he's our backup savior, and he was someone that we definitely needed, and something that he definitely fills a role that has been vacant on this team, which is a solid backup quarterback. We know he's functional. We know we know what he can do. We've seen him on other teams, and I want to see how he looks in that Jets green, throwing the ball around and leading that offense, and in tandem with that is the Hackett offense, because with Rodgers, he's like the field general or like the coach on the field, or whatever you want to call it. I think Saleh called him coach on the field, or it's like having a coach on the field. Well, he's not playing. So we got Tyrod out there, and with Tyrod, he's a little bit more conservative. He's not the guy that's coming out there going to be doing a ton of wheeling and dealing and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's going to be coming down to how Hackett can really lead that offense, and how he can lead that offense versus not a great defense. So it should look good, is what I'm thinking. I mean, we're not really expecting a whole lot out of the Commanders defense. So I really think that we should see a nice performance. Also very interested to see Corley. I think Corley's in line to get some good work. Brownlee as well. And, I'll let you guys talk a little bit more about, some of the other players you want to see. I don't want to take them all, but the most important thing that I want to see is no fucking injuries. No injuries. I just want to see good, clean football where we, I don't even care if we win or not. I just want to see good, clean football and see some progress and see no injuries and, maybe a little Olu Fashanu.
Yeah,
Fashion.
Fashion. I think, the only thing I care about in preseason games are the injuries. I don't really care about seeing the guys. It's going to be mostly backups these first 2 games. Get a glimpse of Tyrod. Corley may play a little bit, but everybody else, in these first at least 2 games, I would guess it's going to be more so just guys fighting for roster spots. There are guys on the defense. I think, Stiggers is going to be interesting.
Yes.
He'll be someone to keep an eye on. And I also want to see on the defensive line, is there, a hidden gem that they might have? Somebody that, that can make the roster and contribute. So I think it'll be, an interesting thing. It'll be good to see them out there in the new uniforms, and all of that. I think with Hackett, I don't know how much you can take away in preseason game number 1. What's the offense going to look like? I think it's just going to be base concepts because you just got to see kind of, do these backups and second teamers, do they have the ability to just know what they're doing, right? I think that's the most important thing. I'll be interested to see, and I don't think they're going to give up anything here in terms of strategy, but just I'd like to see who are the first 2 kickoff returners, right? Who are the guys that they think can make an impact with this, new kickoff that's in place. So I think those things will be interesting. But again, first and foremost, no injuries, just get out healthy, and that's the most important thing. On another note, in relation to this, preseason game, they are going to have joint practices tomorrow and Friday with the Redskins. So I think that will be really interesting because
Commanders.
The Commanders. Right. I think it'll be interesting because the starters will play, right? Like Rodgers will be in there. The top guys will be in there. So I think we'll take more away on Thursday and Friday than we would out of the preseason, game on Saturday. But I'm definitely excited. I'm going to be watching every snap on Saturday. And, I think it'll be just good to see them out on the field after this offseason.
Yeah. This one's going to be really like guys trying to make the 53, right? I think that's kind of what it is, right? And then some of the younger guys are going to have a shot to kind of prove themselves out. So you might see some like Will McDonald, Malachi Corley, of course. Probably going to see a little Alan Lazard, I think. That would be interesting to see if he kind of gets in there because, right? just based on what I'm thinking, but like actually there's a couple of things I'm really interested in. The running back depth behind Brees, because it looks like it's going to be a really strong room in general.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of see how those guys perform, Allen, Davis, and Izzy, right? But then the one name on receiving core that I'm actually looking forward to seeing is Isaiah Winstead. He's the guy that was basically, I guess, East Carolina, although before that he was Toledo or something like that. Went to the Niners, and then he was in the USFL, and he kind of tore it up there, and then we signed him, and he's a big fucking guy. He's like 6'4". I'm going to pull up his measurements right now, but he's basically 6'4" and 210. Which basically, and he's a big body dude. So I and obviously Brownlee would be cool too, Mr. Steal Your Girl, as Izzy pointed out before in our previous thing. But that's the name I'm actually most curious about. Isaiah
I thought you were going to say Malik Taylor for a second because he's kind of heating it up in practice or in camp. Excuse me.
No, I'm looking at. I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously him too, but I mean, Winstead is the one I think. Just in terms of like build, that's a big body fucking dude, right? And like, there was kind of there was an interesting like hurry to get him, at the end of the USFL season. So like, that's just kind of the one name I'm interested in. Although obviously Will McDonald too, because like, there's questions about this on Reddick shit, and where Will's gonna fall on the depth chart and all that with Michael Clemens and all that. But I don't know. That's the thing that's kind of interesting to me right now. It's gonna be fun. Obviously, injuries are the most important thing. Just don't get fucking injured, right? And also, Jordan Travis is probably gonna make an appearance, right? Is that what it's said to be right now, or no?
I don't know.
No, I don't think he's. Yeah. I don't think he's ready. I think he's still injured. I think.
Yeah, I think this is going to be like a pure red shirt for him. I think we'll see Tyrod, Adrian Martinez, which will be fun. He's an interesting one, and then Andrew Peasley as well. Right. So those will probably be the three guys that we see.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, next topic. Yeah, basically there was 3 fights that went on. Basically during I guess what was it, like last couple days, right? Basically and all that.
Yeah,
I haven't been paying too much attention to it, but basically tempers are flaring up in Florham Park. I think it's a good thing, honestly. Like this team, this team, it's a dog eat dog team, right? In terms of like, you gotta do your shit and you gotta do it better than the next guy because there's so much depth and competition in this team. I'm okay with tempers flying. I don't know. What about you guys? I think Adnan is the one to go to this one because he's Mr. Panicky over here sometimes.
No, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal, right? But I also think one of the things that's interesting is you're kind of seeing an uptick in these fights across the NFL, right? Like, look at the Giants and Lions. Their joint practices, they were fighting all day.
They got fined.
They got fined $200,000 each team for that stuff. So I think it's more so, that it's just kind of that time of the summer, and I think it'll be interesting what happens in regards to fights these upcoming days, with the Commanders. It'll be interesting. I don't think it's a big deal. Just competitors being competitors. You're hitting the same guy every single day for 2 weeks. Something's got to give. It happens. And I think it's a good thing. But I don't think it's unique to the Jets. I don't think it's because they're more competitive than anybody else. I think this is just par for the course with the NFL. With how it is now. But now that we've seen the fines, maybe there'll be some more direction. Hey, guys, calm it the hell down, especially during joint practices. So no big deal at all. And excited to see how, they do these next couple of days.
Yeah, nice use of the golf term, par for the course.
Yeah, so just to kind of continue from that, I was reading up a little bit on the nature of the fights themselves, and people from reports from people that were there, and per some different sources like Robbie Sabo from Jet.
Gotcha. All right, get to it. Yeah.
They said Robbie said. It was a little bit hard to kind of see. It was kind of a big melee. There was a lot of people involved, and I saw some videos of it. At certain parts, it got pretty involved, and it was actually pretty funny because at one point the DJ at the at the practice, they play music and stuff. He played "We Are Family." So they're in the middle of fighting, and it's like, "We are family" in the middle of the fight, and like it didn't calm things down or make people laugh. I think people in the stands were laughing, but apparently, so for one part, it was Brady Latham was in the middle of things, either as an instigator or peacemaker, because his helmet got knocked off at one point. It turns out that fight was Tipman and Marcelino McCrary Ball. So they got into it. Then DJ Reed and Garrett Wilson got into a fight after incompletion. So apparently there was Rodgers had a messy pocket. He had to step up. He threw not the best pass, but a decent pass. It was one-on-one coverage. Great coverage by DJ Reed. But because of the ball placement, GW had to fight back in while DJ's head, was turned. So, Garrett felt a little bit vulnerable, I guess you could say. And, it's kind of like, in basketball, like someone goes up for a dunk and gets their legs taken out. But it actually wasn't, from the reports, anything dirty. It just kind of seemed like there was some bad energy from, the previous kind of, scrap that happened. And then I think the third one was like a little bit more of a messy situation. So it was a little bit harder to see, kind of who started that. But 3 fights, not the best thing to happen per se. But I see it kind of like you guys see it, in that guys will be guys, competitive sport, and the passion is so important, right? Like, I rather that than a bunch of guys who don't give a shit, But the one thing I will say is I read a quote from Mike McCarthy, who was talking about this same thing, because they obviously, leading up into their practice, kind of how he's going to treat that. Him and Sean McVay were both asked this, and McCarthy was like, I don't want guys fighting, because that's not toughness, it's a lack of discipline. And I really agree. I really like that quote, because I completely agree. It is a lack of discipline to get into a fight with the guy in front of you on the field. Like, you gotta, you know what?
Can you say like the South Park guys do it when they rock and discipline?
Discipline. Yeah, like that. Yeah, discipline. Yeah, they lack discipline. You know what I mean? And when you don't have discipline, that's a little bit it's a little bit bothering. It's a little bit of a really quirk your eyebrow, because I mean, this is a Jets team that was top in one of the top in penalties last year. So we don't want any of that carrying over. We don't want guys losing their cool. We don't want guys thinking it's okay to lose their cool in a game situation. But I guess for now it's all right. But just something to keep a little bit of an eye on.
Yeah, I just like how it's a little differently covered, like our fights versus like Malik Neighbors fucking just like hauling ass and his fucking little brawls that he's been having at Giants mini camps. It's a little bit of a bias against the Jets, I would think, right? And that one you think could be a little bit more concerning, given that he's a rookie, right? Mm-hmm. And he's gonna get frustrated by Daniel Jones at some point, right? Whereas pretty much everyone you listed out, DJ Reed's a vet. Garrett Wilson, all right, he's on his rookie deal, but that guy is so he's so proper professional, right?
Yeah.
Titman looks like he's got a great mullet kind of going kind of guy. Gotta miss Dan Feeney. I wish he was good. And then I guess the other guy was Marcelino, right? I mean, that's just that's a strong linebacker. Right now he's third on the depth chart, so I'm not too worried about it.
How do you guys feel about the fact that this is technically 3 incidents with Garrett Wilson, because he was arguing with Rodgers in 2 separate occasions and back-to-back days, and then now he's getting in a fight with DJ Reed.
Let me take this right now real quick. So Garrett Wilson is a fucking consummate professional for his first 2 years, given that he's had the MILF Hunter fucking his quarterback the vast majority of the time, a little Mike White, a little Simeon, like a bunch of different. I don't know how to put it anymore, and I don't want
scrubs.
Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. But I think there's something to it a little bit, given that this is Garrett Wilson's money making year, if you really think about it, right? Because the 4th year, he's obviously going to get a 5th year, right? There's no question, 5th year option, right? But then the whole extension talks can start to happen, pretty soon, right? So this, and he's only got 2 years of Rodgers theoretically, right, to kind of work with to really get that big payday, and he's going to get a fucking massive one, right? This season needs to go absolutely perfect for this guy in order to really, really cash in, right? But I think yes, maybe it's a little concerning, but I think that dude's just so fucking determined this season, right? That he's got that little Mamba mentality, Jordanism into it. I think that's what it more is than it is him being lack of discipline,
and to kind of speak to that whole Mike McCarthy quote and all of that, I think I would be again much I'd be concerned a little bit and pay much more attention to it if it were just the Jets, right? If the Jets were the only team that were fighting in practice, fighting in joint practices, then I'd say this is an issue, right? It's a league-wide thing. Every team is doing it. So I don't think it's anything in terms of discipline. Saleh did come out and say, he stopped practice at one point, talked to the team, right? He said in the press conference that, listen, throwing a fight in a game, you get ejected, or throwing a punch, in a game, you get ejected. So we don't want to do it here, right? So I think they're taking the proper steps, but it's just, it's just that time of the year, man. People are going to fight. And Garrett Wilson, I'm not worried about him, just like I'm not worried about Sauce or Jermaine Johnson or Breece Hall or any of those guys. Again, it's a lot of it is expected of all of them. And I think, for them, it's also a little bit different now because given health, Aaron Rodgers is going to be dictating the whole show, right? And I think last year, yes, he was there in training camp, but from after 4 plays week 1 on, he wasn't there. So I think there is something about Garrett taking on a leadership role, and now that kind of being, challenged a little bit with Rodgers there. So I think he's going to kind of be the guy, like you guys said, who wants to assert his dominance as well. So yeah, you're going to see a little bit of that, but there's nothing wrong with it. And, I'll be concerned if in week 1 they're throwing punches against the 49ers, right? Then it's a problem. But until then, I see no harm, no foul.
I something about second time we mentioned Mike McCarthy, I just don't know about that guy. I just don't like that guy. I mean, like I got a couple likes for Mike McCarthy. I want you guys to pick the one that suits him the best. Does Mike McCarthy look like he sweats when he sees a hamburger? Does he look like his bathing suit always fills up with air as he gets into the hot tub?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I got 3 more. I got 3 more. Does he look like a cartoon bear in a toilet paper commercial?
No, I don't think that. Yeah.
Okay. Does Mike McCarthy look like he sweats when he takes a shower?
That's funny.
Or does he look like a flightless bird?
No, I think the swimming the hot tub one is
the hot tub one is definitely the best by far for him.
All right, dude. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, speaking of injuries, I don't know if it's an injury necessarily, but it's basically Tyron Smith, and always anything with Tyron Smith is very concerning because he was probably hands down the most important free agent signing this offseason, right? Besides maybe Hassan Reddick in the end if he shows up, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But basically, I guess it's getting downplayed a little bit as veterans rust, which I'm cool with. I mean, like, it's we're talking practice, as Allen Iverson would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, on a 1 to 10 scale, how concerned are you guys that Tyron Smith is taking days off to heal?
I'm negative 100. Like, it doesn't concern me at all, right? And what Saleh had said is he's going to get his rest. The reason why he didn't participate in team is because they're working him back in after taking a few days off.
Right.
I see no issues with it whatsoever. And it gives Fashanu a lot of opportunity to be, playing with the first team, playing with Rodgers. So I think it's nothing but good. Gives him a lot of experience. He can go to Tyron Smith with questions. Tyron Smith can coach him up on anything he sees. And so I just don't think it's a big deal. I think people like to make it a big deal because it's the Jets.
Yes.
And it's always going to be, of course the Jets. They paid all this money. No one wanted to pay Tyron Smith. This is why he's missing. It's like, dude, listen, I'd rather, if I were the Jets, I would have said, hey, man, show up on Monday before week 1. That's it. Show up for San Francisco game week. I don't even need to see you, right? Because, like, it doesn't matter. He doesn't need training camp. He'll be in shape. He's a phenomenal athlete. So I'm not worried about any of this at all. And again, I think the local beat, the national beat, everybody will take any opportunity that they get to pile on the Jets. So I don't think it's a big deal at all.
Yeah, not to get into the South Park again too much, but the Jets are kind of like, you ever see that South Park episode where they had Britney Spears like shoot her head off and they were still letting her out there because of some like need for rain for a corn harvest or some shit like that? It's kind of like that with the Jets, basically.
I'm gonna be honest.
I'm gonna take your word for it.
Yeah, we're basically like they need us. The media needs us.
I've seen a lot of South Park, but I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I've never watched a full South Park episode, so all of these comparisons are lost on me.
Oh,
it's so good. It's my favorite show.
It's such a great show. It's definitely up there for me. The funny thing is, it's like I've seen more South Park than I even thought I had. Because anytime I try to watch an old episode that I think I haven't seen, I'm like, oh yeah, actually I have seen it.
Yeah, it's the greatest show. It's a great show.
Those guys are real smart. Yeah.
I like.
Sorry
to derail that whole thing.
No worries. So so apparently, so he missed Monday and Tuesday, right? For me, it's at a 2, and I'll tell you why. 2 might seem high for this moment, but it's not that high, but it is definitely not a 0 because number one, it was like some tightness or soreness. And I get it. He's being worked back in. He's going to get plenty of veteran rest. They talked about this load management stuff that they're going to do with him. And we know that the Cowboys did it last year. But what sucks for me is just that it kind of like speaks to like almost foreshadowing a little bit of like stuff to come, because I think there's literally a 0% chance that he even plays over 10 games. I'll be honest with you. I am not confident that he plays over 10 games. I think 10 will be in a good. I think we'll be in a good place actually if he does last 10 games.
10 games is great,
which is good
behind him.
If he even plays 9, I think that's not terrible. But it just kind of sucks because it's like you get a great guy like that, like a once in a lifetime guy like that, and like you only get him for half the season or a little bit more than half, 60% of the season, whatever you want to call it. But the good news is we did get Olufashinu, and he's start worthy, and we hope he's start worthy. He should be, based on draft capital, based on what we've seen out of him, based on size and all the other things. He's not a big fat marshmallow like other people that we've had play that position in recent memory. So I like Olu. I want to see him get in there. I'm glad he's going to get some extra reps. He's one of the people I'm looking forward to seeing too in the Washington game. So it's not end of the world. I'm not freaking out in any way, but this is a little bit of a reminder that, hey, listen, like this guy is, he's a glass cannon basically. When he's in shape, he's gonna be Hall of Fame. What I mean by in shape, I mean in health, in good health is what I meant to say.
There you go.
And when he's in good health, when he's together, he's going to be an absolute beast, Hall of Fame worthy guy. But how long is that going to last for? We're always going to be constantly, biting our nails on that one. So that part isn't the greatest, but it's fine.
He's probably a lock for the Hall of Fame if you really think about it.
Yeah. At this point,
I think he definitely is.
He was on the 2010s All-Decade team, right? I think he was first team on that one. Yeah, he was. He was on the list for tackle. They didn't kind of distinguish it all, but 8 Pro Bowls, 3 seconds, 2 firsts. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like, him playing whatever they get out of him is going to be gravy, I feel like. And if Oli has to start playing earlier than expected, that's fine. It's why you drafted him 11 overall, right? The guy should be ready to go. And, if Tyron Smith ends up playing 9 games, 8 games, 14 games, whatever it is, it'll be gravy. And, I'm just very happy It's why we were yelling about you got to get a tackle in the draft. You have to do it, because if they didn't go tackle in the draft, then this could have, potential to be a disaster. So with that draft pick, I feel confident, and I think Tyron might surprise, kind of like Aaron Rodgers. He's kind of counted out, oh, well, this guy's always hurt, even though he's a Hall of Famer. He maybe play with more of a chip on his shoulder. Maybe he'll be willing to play more while a little banged up. So I think there is that opportunity as well, but I'm not concerned at all with.
So on the note of that question for you guys, first thing, how do you think it shakes out in terms of Tyron Smith, and his inevitable, whatever, when he misses his time?
Like,
do you think it's going to be like he plays 8 or 9 of the first games, or maybe 8 out of the first 10 and then 2 at the end, or how do you think that's going to shake out for him as far as the time he plays?
Yeah, let me give it to it, guys, first. Okay, I think the over-under on games he starts and finishes is probably 11.5. I think it's a fair number.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to end up being somewhere in that 9 to 13 range, realistically. And as long as he's ready for the playoffs, which it feels like, we're heading towards a realistic possibility this is a playoff team, right? He's going to be there, and most of it's going to be a little bit load management. And maybe one of those games just like a coach's decision because we're heading into a bye week.
Okay.
For the playoffs.
So he'll probably play
11.5. I think it's
maybe no, I mean as far as how that's divvied out though, out of the first 10.
You can't do that now.
Yeah, I think that's hard to say, right? Like John said, it could be he plays up until the game before the London week, then they don't play him. There could just be a lot of coach decisions, especially depending on how quickly Ole is up to speed. So I think it's hard to say that he'll play 5 and then miss 2 and then play 4, right? But what I would say is if he is going to miss games, let it be early.
End of the season.
Right?
End of the season when it gets
no,
easy.
because
Middle of the season's super easy when it comes to edge rushers.
Right. Well, my point more so is that if he's going to miss games for things like strains and pulls and that kind of stuff,
early,
let it be before the playoffs, because if
absolutely,
he's missing playoff games, then this signing was a disaster. As great as Ole will be, if he's not available for the playoffs, I think it's a disaster. So if they make the playoffs and he can play in the playoffs, I don't care what he does the first 17 games, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Cool.
Fair enough. I guess we can go to the next topic. I'm just making a note for the timestamp for everyone. But basically, the Jets just released a depth chart, which is definitely overfilled with players. And I'm going to share a screen right now. That's going to share the whole depth chart, and it's via ESPN. I'm just going to remove this down. Okay, so then get our faces, beautiful faces in there. Put them in the middle. Yeah, look at that.
It's the official, unofficial.
Yeah, it's the official, unofficial, but basically, what a surprise! Aaron Rodgers is on the top of the QB depth chart. The QBs are as follows. It's really not a surprise. Peasley's right now number 4. The running backs, Izzy just dropped to number 4 on the list to the 2 rookies, Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, with Brees obviously being in the spot. The interesting one, I guess, I don't know if there's anything too surprising on the offense right now, because once again, this is so preliminary that doesn't even matter. But right now, Xavier Gibson's listed as the slot.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, which is probably. Everyone kind of pinged Malachi Corley to be in that spot, but Gibson, maybe there's been a lot of improvement with him, right? So that's kind of a good thing, right? You'd want to see improvement from guys that he kind of gave a shot last year, right? The O-line, there's really nothing of surprise there right now, right? Carter Warren is right tackle 3 right now, losing to Max Mitchell. I guess that's okay, but he's probably realistically a swing tackle, backup 3rd string behind Olu and Max, right? Nothing in the inside is too surprising out of the West, and Hansen are there, right? These guys are probably not going to make the roster right over here on the third, like Xavier Newman and all that. Then you go to the defense, and this one gets a little bit less interesting as well, except for D-line, I guess, because everything else is kind of what you expected, right? The linebackers are pretty much what they are. Sherwood's only going to be there for 4-3s, even though they're going to roll mostly nickel, right? The secondary is exactly how you expected it. Eccles is going to be the dime at this point. Although Ashton Davis right now is second string. I guess that's sort of interesting, right? But Tony Adams, we knew was going to be the free safety, but I guess Ashton's more of a free safety too, right? So that was kind of like, but I don't know. Like, that's weird. He's a strong safety, I guess, too, right?
Yeah, that was my main observation was Ashton Davis, because he was pretty good last year, but Chuck Clark is very good.
If healthy.
I think that speaks. I think that. Well, I mean,
That
Chuck
Clark.
Clark.
That speaks to Chuck Clark.
I mean, Chuck Clark is not a guy who really gets hurt that much. So yeah, he presumably should be.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, you blow out your ACL or whatever he had. It's
I get it. And then the D line is kind of what you expected with Reddick. Right now is the only not present one there. Clemens and Will McDonald are second line, which is cool with Solomon Thomas. But I guess that wasn't a surprise. Obviously, Kinlaw is obviously going to be the DT2, right? To Quinton, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm cool with that. And then the second, and I guess special teams, no surprise. Greg the leg, and Thomas Morstead with that fucking fabulous mustache that's nicely growing back, and then Xavier Gibson and Hennessy. What a surprise there. Anything here in particular that's like, I don't know, like you kind of, I mean, I guess the D line is the one thing, right? Because of Hassan Reddick, but is there anything else in particular that's kind of like, what the fuck?
I don't, I take this with a grain of salt, right? It's an unofficial depth chart. I don't think reading into this too much is anything, of consequence, right? You look at the receivers. I mean, yeah, of course it was going to be Garrett and Mike Wilson. And I think Xavier Gibson and, Corley, I think they are kind of the two guys that are best suited for the slot. And I think, like we discussed, Corley has, a lot of work to do in terms of route running and things of that nature. Gibson is probably more advanced there. Plus, it's his second season in the offense. And when we had Nanny on, he was saying that they have seen a lot of improvement in Gibson. So, I think that's a good problem to have both of those guys there. And I think you look at, the running back depth chart, Izzy's in a lot of trouble. I don't know if he even makes the roster unless he can, really excel on special teams. They drafted two guys this year. I think Braylon Allen is
listed in special teams. He's not even listed in special teams as a returner. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, not as a returner, right? But there are other things.
You would think, he's good with the ball.
Yeah, but I think, that takes a certain kind of guy. He's fast, but I think maybe he's not that shifty, whatever.
Maybe he doesn't have the vision. I don't know.
Yeah, so whatever it is, they don't see him as a returner. But again, there are other positions on special teams. I think it's going to be tough for him right now, which is definitely unfortunate. I find it interesting. I mean, the tight ends are exactly what we thought, Conklin and Ruckert. I think the interesting one will be the tight end that they just signed. He's a veteran, Andrew Frisker. He started his season or his career with the Jets. He could be someone that pushes, Kuntz and Yeboah. So I don't know what will happen there, but that will be interesting. Yeah. And I think, the rest of it is to be expected.
I think Yeboah makes the team this year. You know what I mean? Like, that's like such like a good story locker room guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone in the locker room fucking loves Kenny Yeboah. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anything. I think Coons is if anything, is not going to make it.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that could be in trouble, but I mean, who knows, right? They spent a 7th round pick on him. I know it's a 7th rounder, but he has size and all that, so maybe they do see him as a project guy. But I think it is what it is at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that, or can we move on to the elephant in the room that we kind of mentioned before?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get into it.
All right. Knock, knock. Reddick's still not here, man.
Yeah,
Little Cheech song reference, if anyone got that right. I don't know.
not good, man. Not
Not
good.
good. Not good. Not good. Any panic level changes on anybody's part, or just infuriation?
I mean, mine's been steadily rising, and it's steadily rising with each day and each week or whatever that he doesn't show up. I mean, you guys were a lot less bothered than me about it. I still think, and I said this before, I think he is in a position to pull a Le'Veon, because you got to think, right? The guy is coming off of a lot of proven production across multiple teams. He was underpaid across that time period. He wants his contract, he wants his deal, and he's already now foregone 1.2 1.3 million dollars, and then that jumps up by another 940K if he misses a preseason game, which he's pretty much in line to do. So you don't just forego $2 million if you're not really fucking serious about it. I know I wouldn't. And even these guys that make millions and millions like nothing, $2 million is still something to them too. So, for him to just, piss that away, he's got to be serious about something. And, the Jets either have to figure out how to, come to the table and figure it out, or what. I don't know. Maybe trade him away. I don't know what we do, but I know that he seems dug in at this point, and he seems to, have enough of a reasoning, at least in his own mind. Or if not for nothing, he's just pot committed at this point, right? It's like, you put that much money, you let that much money, go by the wayside. And even if it wasn't the best decision for him, it's like, now it's kind of do or die, you know what I mean? Because like the reality is he will get a deal next year, even if he doesn't play a single snap for the Jets this year. He will absolutely get a deal. Will it be as fat of a deal as if he came on the Jets, played, and kicked ass? Of course not. But it's still going to be a fat deal, and he doesn't have to sacrifice his body for a year. So a team may look at that favorably and be like, well, you didn't play, but you also didn't play. So you didn't, wear any tread down on the tires. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I haven't liked it since, day one. Doesn't look good. And I think the Jets are also kind of a unlucky team about certain things. And I think it's kind of sad. Almost too much has been going right for us, to where, I think this might be the thing.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
I think this is the thing that goes south. But if this is the thing that goes south for us, I'm okay, because it maybe solidifies that our defense drops back to like 5th, 6th, whatever, 7th or 4th or whatever it is, not top 3 anymore. Fine, because that was a big part of why PFF and everyone like jumped us right up to first place in terms of having.
We were. PFF was, we measured out as the most efficient defense.
Right. But that's
for them. And DVOA, we were what, 2nd or 3rd, I think, right?
Yeah, 2nd, I think. But that was really the all right, this is no other competition really. I think without Reddick and with Will having a bit of a slow camp and having to rely on Michael Clemens as a starter, without some serious improvements from him at camp, I think that, it is a little bit of a shakier line than in previous or than last year, or than what it could have been and what it should have been. So I don't like it at all. But
Adnan, go ahead.
Not the end of the world.
I'm at the point where I just literally don't care. If he shows up, great. If he doesn't, who cares? Right? He's a luxury item. He's not something the Jets need. I
don't think so, man.
Because this defense is a sum of its parts. It's not one guy, right? And you look at the back end, the best corner trio in the NFL. Chuck Clark is back to solidify the safety spot.
Arguably second or best linebacker duo as well.
Yeah,
Really think about
Quincy and Mosley. Quincy was a first-team All-Pro. You still have Quinnen. Jermaine Johnson might take another leap. You have some young guys. I think Kinlaw is hungry. You might see a different player put on 35 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
This team, this defensive staff understands how to get the most out of their guys, right? And on top of that, this defense, and I'm going to be a little bit hyperbolic, but, when they don't have to be on the field what seems like 85% of the game and the offense is better, that's going to have an effect on the defense, right? Go. And if they're playing with more leads in the fourth quarter, that may unlock, Will McDonald. Now he can be the guy that just go get the quarterback, right? And so I'm not worried. If he's here, great. If he isn't, whatever. This defense will be fine. The offense will be fine. He's just a guy that you brought in because you were like, hey, we can get him for at worst a second rounder 2 years from now, right? Might as well take the chance. So I don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. Stay, show up, don't show up, whatever, man.
Yeah, I'm at this point, I'm just like, I guess I think it's house money at this point, right? Because getting him in means you gave him a contract, right? And giving him a contract could work out or could totally not work out, right? So, but I think the defense will still be very, very good without him, right? As we're all saying, because the parts are so good. It just may not be a 2000 Baltimore Ravens good, right? Which I guess I'd love to have that kind of defense every time, but you know what? I'll be okay with it.
I think that matters a lot. I think he matters a lot for, especially like in the playoffs, man. I mean, a guy like that with that playoff experience, the guy who comes in, brings double-digit sacks every single year in his sleep.
Oh, it will be. It will be. But what is he going to do? Sit out? He's going to sit out and then go through. He's going to be a little less valuable the next. I mean, at some point, he's going to.
No. What I'm saying for how he impacts us.
Yeah, at some point, $15 million is $15 million.
But I think the other piece of it also is, I'm not sure how this works. If he does sit out the whole season, how much is he going to owe the Jets? Right? Whatever contract he signs, he's going to have to pay that back to the Jets because they are going to fine him, and those fines are enforceable. And if he isn't signing with the Jets, they're not going to say, hey, man, we're going to give you a break on that. He's going to owe every dime of that, which is going to be a lot of money.
Yeah, it'll be a execute order 66.
Yeah.
Yep. Star Wars reference. All right. Anyway, should we move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it's a good time to move on. Mike Williams, welcome back from PUP, buddy.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one. That's a big
huge.
one. I'm excited. I mean, he's not going to play in the preseason this first week. Maybe like the third week with the Rodgers show. Are we going to that game? Monty, I asked you about that before, didn't I?
The Giants?
Giants preseason, yeah.
Giants, yeah, I think so. I just got to double check that I'm going to be in town.
Cool. And if not, remember, if you like, comment, subscribe, maybe I'll just give you the fucking tickets. So, yeah, think about it.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I know that Monty, you had alluded to this in our group chat regarding Mike Williams. This is just a tweet from Jake Assman, which I'm going to read just verbatim, and what he tweeted was in response to Mike Williams being activated. As the Jets said, Mike Williams was on the Breece Hall timeline. However, Hall wasn't removed from the PUP list until August 15th last season, and the Jets started camp a week earlier due to the Hall of Fame game. Mike Williams is ahead of schedule and should definitely be ready for week 1. So,
man, that bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich that he got, man, fucking got him fast.
It's something, right?
Yeah. Feels knees quick. But I think nothing but good things. Still ease him in. I don't care if he plays in the preseason, whatever. Let him be ready for week 1.
Yeah, I mean, he was only injured in week 3, so he's had a ton of time to heal. Get back right, get what he needs. The guy is just an amazing 50-50 ball. Imagine what the Aaron Rodgers must be so happy that he has a player like this, because it's like he's tall, he could fight for the balls. Like, you could throw it up to him, and probably more times than it goes the wrong way, he's coming down with the ball. It's probably either going to be an incomplete or he's coming down with that ball. It's just an amazing field stretcher. I'm super pumped to hear any semblance of him being able to be ready. Even by week 2, I'd be happy. But to hear he's going to be ready for week 1 is just like, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think the other piece of it is, I feel like, Aaron Rodgers kind of used Lazard as that big body guy in Green Bay, and Mike Williams is 100x what Alan Lazard is.
Yeah.
So I just feel like having a guy like that can just make it easy for Rodgers is really going to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mike Williams is a stud, and that should just work out very well. It's kind of crazy, though. He doesn't have a Pro Bowl, but I guess, it's the Keenan Allen show that kind of maybe dug that out.
He's been banged up, too, so.
Yeah, I know. But I think this year we'll see it. But anyway, speaking of wide receivers, there is a pending trade in this league that does, indeed affect the Jets, depending on where that person goes. Brady Aiyuk might be going, what is it? It's Steelers and Patriots. Am I right on that?
So as of right now, the Patriots are actually out because apparently Aiyuk doesn't want to go there.
That's funny. That's great.
Which fuck the Pats. Fuck the Pats.
Exactly.
Fuck the Pats. I'm so happy to see it.
Yeah, it's so good. And I was reading that they offered him a deal that was $32 million a year, and he said no because he doesn't want to go there. I absolutely love it. Everything about that.
Yeah, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of the Pats getting money. Yeah, I'm so sick of the Pats getting sweetheart deal after sweetheart deal. Being able to get like whatever players they want. Everyone wants to go play with them. Blah 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 blah. Now, it's great to see them finally be snubbed for once, and it also lets me know what the players think about the Pats. Going forward this year, which is that they're trash.
Yeah. Did you guys see that they're saying that Joe Milton might get ahead of Drake May?
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm telling you that under I had on Drake May's passing yards might be gold. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That might be the biggest gold in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
And just watch Zappy just jump them all, right? But I don't know. Like, so where is Aiyuk going? And I've been a little bit out of the loop on this one, but we want him out of San Francisco before week 1, right?
So
go ahead, Monty.
No, I was saying so as of 5 today, when I saw last, the latest is that the Steelers actually may have reached a verbal agreement with the Niners for him. There's just nothing, solid on that. But the Browns were also still in play as recently as yesterday, and they actually had a framework that was acceptable to the Niners. The only thing, though, with the framework is that it doesn't really make sense to me because it involves them losing Amari Cooper and picks, and it doesn't make sense to me that the Browns would give up Cooper because they're trying to win now. Like a deal that they would do would be most advantageous if it involves them, mortgaging a bunch of picks from the future to have Cooper and Aiyuk play at the same time, so that Watson gets, his,
the Browns. They'll have a first round pick next year. I thought they lost that too to the.
I don't know what they have. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Huh.
I think, well, first I want to say, like, in regards to him being traded, honestly, I'm kind of, in relation to the Niners and the Jets playing them week 1, I want him on the team, right? I want them to be fully healthy, 100%, have all their guys. So if the Jets go in there and win, there are zero excuses. I don't want to hear, they're getting used to life without Aiyuk, or Christian McCaffrey had a calf injury, so he wasn't as effective. I don't want to hear any of it.
They still have Ricky Pearsall, though,
He's hurt. He hurt his shoulder twice. Like, he's not really practicing. So I think the Niners, but from the Niners' perspective, right, trading him and not getting back, like I was reading the 49ers and Patriots deal had Kendrick Bourne going back to the Niners, right? That's a guy that can plug in effectively into their system. I can't imagine the Niners making a trade like that at this point in the offseason and not getting a starter quality type receiver back. Because if they make a trade just for draft picks, they're significantly weakening their team by trading Aiyuk now. So that's why if you look at the Browns deal,
well, they're trading him because he's holding out and because he won't play and because
I understand
nightmare.
that completely, but at the same time, they're not going to trade him and just be like, give us draft picks we can't use until next year when we're in a Super Bowl window with guys like Kittle and, and Fred Warner and Trent Williams. McCaffrey's getting a little bit older. Debo's is banged up all the time, right? They're getting older and they have to pay Purdy coming up. So I just can't imagine them being like, we're going to give up a 26-year-old all-pro type wide receiver for a couple of draft picks so we save some money.
I think Amari Cooper makes sense, though, actually.
I agree.
No, I'm saying not from the Browns' perspective. Of course.
It does, because Cooper's on the last year of his deal. Cooper's on the last year of his deal.
Yeah, and I mean, Cooper, because they traded for Jerry Jeudy, they traded for Elijah Moore, right? If you can get a young Aiyuk in there and swap him out for Cooper, I think that's something you do, and the Niners would like it because, again, it's the end of his contract, so they don't have to pay him. So I think it's an interesting
It's
thing.
an upgrade for sure, but from the Browns' perspective, right? Like, they're trying to win now too. Don't forget, they paid a giant truck full of money to Watson. They traded for all these players. Their defense is stacked. Their O-line is in a good place. They're a win now team too. They are a similar situation to the Jets, actually, if you think about it. Like, they want that second, high-powered receiver. They don't have that right now. Elijah Moore ain't it. Jerry Jeudy is a wide receiver 3.
He could be a 10. I can't say that about Jeudy because Jeudy was in Denver for so long.
Yeah, and they paid Jeudy,
We'll
right?
see.
I think they
paid Jeudy, so Judy's the 2.
And I think they look at it and they say, if we can upgrade to a younger receiver in Aiyuk, who at this point is better than Cooper, that's a big upgrade for them, right? It's like
I don't know that he's better than Aiyuk to the level of it making a huge difference if they don't, have to he's not double Cooper, and he would have to really be double Cooper for it to be, worth a swap.
But what receiver?
They're close. I would say they're close. Cooper was pretty fucking awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Cooper is very good.
Close, but Aiyuk's the better one, I think.
But I think Aiyuk is the better one, and he's younger. But again, right, it's like that's the thing with the 49ers. Again, why would they trade him and not get a starter back? It doesn't help them win now.
I know.
Right? So I think that's the big thing for them is we're ready to trade him. And I think this is why the Steelers deal is being held up a little bit because what can the Steelers give them? They're not going to give them Pickens, right? What are they going to give Calvin Austin, right? They don't have a guy to give them that can replicate, 80% of Aiyuk. If you can get someone that can be 80% of Aiyuk, a first or second round pick, and you save a ton of money, then you do it. But if you're going to trade him and say, we get a first and a third next year, that's 1 year more that, their Kittle gets older. Debo gets older. They all
no
just
way
get
to give him
older.
Pickens. Pickens is all they got.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're not making that trade.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their depth chart.
Van Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Right? This is why the Steelers want him so bad.
Holy shit. I'm just looking at their depth chart. They're fucking trash.
Outside of Pickens, they're bad.
Yeah, Najee Harris.
I don't even know if Pickens is a wide receiver 1. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why they want Aiyuk. Because that, I think
it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Because that gives them what the Jets have in Garrett Wilson as your 1 and a big body guy that can go get the ball and Mike Williams. They'd have that with Aiyuk and Pickens. So I just don't know what the Steelers can give them that would entice them to do the deal. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens.
Yeah. No, I do too. This might be a good time to kind of wrap it up, right?
Yep.
I guess, yeah, just because we have the final thoughts thing that we always like to do at the end. I will let Adnan take the wheel on this one before putting it to me to eventually get interrupted.
I'm going to use my final thought here to give some love to our guy, Robert Saleh. And there was a tweet I had sent it to you guys in our group chat. It was a Warren Sharp, quote tweet in relation to a quote on Zach Wilson, which, talked about Zach Wilson falling out of the rotation of first team reps. And Zach said, I've got no control over that, which he absolutely does. But, the worst thing you can do is let that affect you. I'm just trying to get better and stack days. And Warren Sharp said, absolutely amazing. The Jets won 7 games back-to-back years with a quarterback who now can't even buy a first-team rep in training camp for a Broncos QB room, which has only 3 total quarterbacks, and the other 2 are rookie Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham, right? The fact that Saleh got this team back-to-back years to 7 wins with the absolute garbage that that quarterback room was. I mean, forget about last year. Let's go back to 2022, right? Thursday night game, Jacksonville, season on the line, rainy day. They had to pull Zach for Chris fucking Streveler to try to save the season. And Saleh's getting these teams to 7 wins. This team plays hard for him. This team does believe in him. I mean, the fact that they won that Buffalo game, the season opener last year when Rodgers got hurt, I mean, he should have been in the running for Coach of the Year off of that. After all the buildup, all the hype, Hard Knocks, everything. And to get to 7 wins after something like that, and I understand that Saleh isn't perfect, but, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, reading a lot of things about preseason previews and all of that. And most people are saying that Saleh is on the hottest seat in the NFL. And I just don't understand how you can get to 7 wins, 2 consecutive seasons with this quarterback room, how you can't say he's done, yeoman's work. And so I think we need to stop the hate on Saleh. And I think we're going to see a different coach this season with a quarterback like Rodgers and hopefully worst case scenario, a quarterback like Tyrod. And I think they're in much better shape, and I think we're going to see a different coach. So definitely need to ease up on him a little bit and let him kind of play out the season and see what happens. So, I think that's just what I wanted to shout out is the fact that, Saleh has done a better job than people think. And looking just at the record, I don't think justifies the job that he's done.
Right. I don't think he's in the hottest seat, though. It's got to be
McCarthy.
McCarthy.
I agree completely. I don't think
It's got to be McCarthy, right? 100%.
McCarthy and also, what's his name? The Bears coach. You got all this talent.
Rookie.
Yeah, but you barely kept your job to begin with. If Caleb Williams doesn't look good in the first few weeks, that could be tough sledding,
Rookie coach, and then I'm trying to think who else would be on that hot seat.
I think it's really
Dabble's in a hot seat.
Dable, you think?
Not,
I don't know. I think
unless they bomb. If they don't bomb, he's
I think
they decided to pay Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that wasn't him. That was the front office.
He had no say in that decision.
If you watch the Giants' Hard Knocks, like Dable was pushing hard for the Jets to trade up for a quarterback. So I don't think he sold out Jones at all, but I do think Nick Sirianni is one as well. Did you see the report that came out that Jalen Hurts called Wink Martindale to help him figure out how teams were defending him after he left the Giants? Like, he has no trust in Sirianni at all. So that's an interesting one as well. But again, all that to wrap up by saying Saleh does not have the hottest hot seat. And anyone that thinks so, I think you have, I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Thank you. Go ahead, Monty.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll keep mine fairly quick. I just, I'm excited to see how we look in our first preseason game. Obviously, it's preseason, can't take it too seriously, but I'm definitely excited for a lot of things. Excited to see, Braylon Allen play, how they use Corley, Malik Taylor, Stiggers, Olu. Excited for football in general. I just really want to see this offense click well. I'd love to see Tyrod come out, because if Tyrod can come out and make a statement on offense, I can only imagine what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. So it's it's super important for me that we start the season off on a good foot. But I'm measured expectations, but I am really excited for this season to start, because it's long overdue for us to actually be fucking good. And I think this is the year. I've been saying it actually for a couple of years now. I actually didn't think going into last year, I didn't think we were going to have a good year, but I did think that this year would be good. What I thought was going to happen was that, Rodgers, would take a little while to figure out the team. I knew the O-line wasn't that great. I knew we were weak at receiver going into last year, and I figured we would have figured that all out by now. And now it seems that we actually have, even though the process to get to this point worked out a little differently than I thought it would. But I really think that this is our year, as Jet fans love to say. But I really think it is, and I can't wait to see it get started.
Yeah, dude. I'm kind of excited. Football's like right here. I mean, it's like really right here now, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna see the Jets on the field. I mean, I take this game with a super grain of salt, because it's really bubble guys, right? And like some guys are going to get some work. Obviously, Tyrod, because the quarterback situation is what it is right now. Rodgers ain't going to play right now. There's no fucking way you let that go out there. And Jordan Travis, it'd be nice to have him there, but understandably, like the reason why we're able to draft him is because he got injured at the end of the year at Florida State. So, Fashion, it will be interesting if he gets how many reps he gets, right? And obviously, like the D line, whether or not they're able to get pressure. Washington's a bad team. I'm going to just say that right now. The scoreboard shouldn't mean nothing. I mean, if they blow them out like they did with Carolina last year, don't get too excited. If they, that was the preseason last year, right? If they lose, whatever, it's fucking preseason, right? But just look at the individual matchups for guys that it should matter, right? I guess that would be it, right? Just like look for the little things, because that's essentially what the coaching staff's going to do when they make their picks for who's going to make the 53, right? So, but yeah, it's just get a little excited for it. If you're going to be out there, I mean, the weather might be miserable in that game too, right? Although it's supposed to clear up. Hopefully it does, because there's a fucking hurricane that's ruining my golf schedule right now. Yeah, I was at a private course yesterday, and I got rained out after 4 holes, and I was at par 2 of the first 4 holes. I was so fucking pissed off. But anyway, else than that, just a reminder, and I guess I could share the story about the TB12 former worker that I spoke to yesterday. I told her about our podcast, and I told her the most important thing: fuck the Patriots, fuck the Dolphins, fuck the Bills, go Jets.
Go Jets.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Thank you.